All right. We are live. As I already said last week, we need to find a better intro because I'm kind of getting sick of the all right. And I think we can find something better, like we actually have with the Friday show. I actually have an interesting proposal to all of you. Right? We have some really amazingly creative people in the community that know graphic design, that are really artistically skilled. And you can see this really big white wall behind me. And some of you already mentioned just how boring it is, right? that we actually need to put up some art there. So my proposal to all of you actually is, why don't we make a kind of art challenge where you guys can think about some kind of art, and then the winner of this challenge will get to place the art right here, right? I think that would be kind of cool. So maybe I'll maybe do a tweet after this, so you guys can think about whether you want to participate or not. I think it should be something physical, and then we can combine an NFT to it and sell it later on. Here's a great example that was actually built by a community member, Karuma. And if you look at it, right, it should be rather simple to make, because this is just some plexiglass that he put together, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. So with that said, right, take a look at this, and all of the creative people out there maybe already start thinking about what we can put on that boring white wall there. But other than that, right, we had a very, very exciting week. We finally released the Firefly beta version, and it's really exciting that all of you were able to really enjoy Chrysalis, because so far, I would say only the more hardcore community members that knew how to set up a node, that knew how to utilize a command line wallet, were really able to participate and were really able to enjoy this new feature of IOTA. And the feedback that we've gotten from all of you was really, really tremendous. And I think on the Friday show, we can do talk a little bit more about Firefly and what's on the roadmap. Maybe we can get Charlie on the show. I think that would actually be great, and we can send around a few tokens to all of you in the live stream. But today we have the AMA, right? And from the looks of it, we have a lot of questions. 93 questions. So I think that's probably a new record, I would say. But so Firefly we're going to discuss on Friday. Let's jump into the questions. Let me actually do full screen. By the way, this is kind of weird. Like, what is this new interface? Can you actually follow threads? Like, this is like a thread that you can follow to get regular updates if there's something new. Do any of you actually know that? It's kind of interesting. I really don't use Reddit that much. But kind of looks useful, I guess. Let's start with the first question. Who do you think is the main competitor of IOTA? That's a very interesting question, and I have to think about something smart here. Vitalik always said that the biggest competitor to Ethereum is Ethereum itself, because Ethereum is already such a huge ecosystem, and they have billions of dollars of value on top of it. The upgrade of Ethereum, which also means that there's going to be breaking changes to their applications, means that they are at an inferior position, because now all of the decentralized applications that are built on top of Ethereum have to go through this rather cumbersome, I would say, process of upgrading, migrating their tokens, migrating their value, and so on. And that actually means that if the upgrade doesn't go smoothly, or if there's bugs, or if there's even delays, as we're always seeing with Ethereum 2.0, right, applications are going to move over. And I think right now we're seeing this very exciting trend where some of those major applications like Chainlink, like Uniswap, SushiSwap, and so on, they're going to be built cross-chain. And that means they can be offered a multiple distributed ledger network. So they're not loyal to a single one, but they're really cross network, which is very exciting for us as well, because we are positioning ourselves as a real platform, as a real protocol for these applications to build on. And then ultimately it's about community building, right? You need to build up a large community. And we at IOTA, we have a really large and exciting community with all of you. So that's one problem, right? You could always be your biggest competitor yourself by failing, by not innovating too fast. I think right now there's not many big competitors that are sort of in the same focus area as we at IOTA are, because our focus is still the Internet of Things. Our focus is still on enabling this machine economy. And our focus with IOTA is still to do micropayments, right? And also to do data transfer. And I would say that we are really leading in that regard. And now we're obviously building more on top, where we're building IOTA smart contracts and the smart contracts protocol. And I would say that our smart contracts protocol is a direct competitor to Polkadot, to Cardano, to Ethereum. But as I already mentioned, our motto for this year is bridge building. We don't see ourselves as competitors with others, because ultimately our goal is to make the pie bigger. And we don't want to fight others. We don't want to do these apples to oranges comparisons, because ultimately I think there will be a handful of protocols that will prevail, including IOTA, and those will share the ecosystem and will share the applications amongst them, right? So I wouldn't say that we have a direct competitor in that regard. I would say that what will be a competitor to what we are doing and what others are doing are private blockchains, are private cryptocurrencies. Like Amazon is testing a stable coin in, I think, somewhere in Mexico, if I'm not wrong. And if large companies do their own token, it just basically means that they're going to fragment the ecosystem even more, and we're not able to have this interoperability. So I would say in that regard, that could be a competitor to us. But yeah, I would say the biggest advice that you could give to a young startup entrepreneur is to stop worrying about the competition and to just focus on building. And we don't really focus on the competition. We do try to analyze what others do well, what others don't do well, and what we can learn from that. And also obviously how we should evolve as a project in that regard. But ultimately, we focus on ourselves and we focus on building and doing what we do well. And I would focus less on this competitor question, more on what can IOTA enable and which use cases can only IOTA enable. And the obvious ones is free payments, right? No transaction fees. That is only achieved with IOTA. And this is really where we will be the production-ready DLT, enabling that. And with that, you can then be powering some of these other use cases, car payments, one of the obvious ones, and so on. So I think this is really how we are evolving, and also how we approach the market. Where it's less about having this mindset of, oh, what are our competitors doing, and so on, and more about how can we really focus on ourselves and execute on that. Let me maybe answer this one. Additionally, Dom, what are your favorite projects other than IOTA? IOTA? I don't have, I only hold IOTA tokens, right? I want to make that clear. I only hold, I'm kind of maximalist in that regard. Also because we sort of have this philosophy of because you're so core to the project and because you're so involved, you also have to be the one that are most exposed and most dedicated and most passionate about it. And I think we're really proving that. So I only hold IOTA tokens. I do have respect for other projects. Like I really think that Polkadot has done a tremendous job in building up their ecosystem. They obviously had a lot of capital to do that, but I think they're going right technologically. So I like their approach to the ecosystem. They're really focused on protocol and on the tech rather than chasing DeFi dreams as others are doing. And obviously we see ourselves as a bridge builder this year where we are crossing to other networks. Like we had the Cartesia announcement today. We had the announcement with Horizon. So we are really focused on making the pie bigger than competing with others. Yeah. When will IOTA be ready for production use? After Chrysalis or after Cordyceps? We heard different opinions lately. The very straight and honest answer is there's no definition for production ready. It fundamentally means, at least the way that we interpret it, is that you can reliably build an application on top of this network, on top of our protocol, without having any significant breaking changes anymore later. And very importantly, your use case is being enabled, right? So if you need 20, 30 TPS reliably, you can run those 20, 30 TPS reliably without any interference, without any fee market intervening and completely screwing your business model to the point where you're losing money, and also where to the point where your transactions don't confirm reliably and so on. That is really production readiness. After Chrysalis, the last remaining part for us is to remove the coordinator. That means that the cryptography in IOTA, the signature scheme, right, the transaction layout, and also the libraries and the wallet that we've developed will largely remain the same. That means that there will be some breaking changes in terms of the logic and also in terms of the transaction layout. But largely, much of the concepts behind the wallets, behind the libraries, and behind your integration as an app developer will stay the same. And that's why I would argue that after Chrysalis, we are already really production ready for large companies to start really looking deeper into Chrysalis. Because ultimately, if you speak with a large company, it takes them several months just to get started. And so after Chrysalis, we are going to put much more emphasis on reaching out to past partners and to new partners to start building on top of IOTA, because the last remaining part after Chrysalis is Cordyceps. After that, we are definitely production ready. Right? We will have at least 1,000 TPS, hopefully many-fold more. Right? That's still the goal. But you can reliably build on top of IOTA, and you also know that it's secure. So that for me is production ready. And we always say, and we still always say, everything is a proof of concept right now in the DLT space. We do have billions of dollars running on DeFi or being staked on DeFi or locked in DeFi. But those are largely, I would say, innovation playgrounds. Because if you speak with a large company, their requirements are very different. And so we at IOTA, we obviously try to cater to both. But that's basically our focus with production readiness. And so I would say after Chrysalis, you can really start building reliably on top of IOTA. Yeah. How long will it take to fully test the Nectar network? That's a very excellent question. Honest answer, I don't know. We have to ask the research team more closely what they're thinking about right now. The objective for us is to launch Nectar over the next few weeks, as we are finishing up with the implementation. I can highly recommend all of you to look at the Shiener repository to follow the process, because the team is really doing an amazing job. I would say a lot of this really depends on the feedback that we're getting from the community, how many people we can actually incentivize to participate and to attack, and also the sort of progress that we're making on making the implementation, the node implementation, much more production ready as well. Because if you think about Shiener really started as a research project. It was sort of this implementation of our research team of Cordyceps to figure out that it works, how the components work together, and which kind of parameters need to be optimized. Best example is right now we have two Mana implementations, Mana 1 and Mana 2, that are implemented in Shiener. And Shiener helps us to make a decision which Mana is the better one to choose with, to choose from. And with Nectar, we can launch we are going to launch the Nectar network with Shiener. But after that, we need to implement it in Rust and in Go to have a much more hardened version that is being developed actually by our engineering team. So the B team is already working closely with the research team and is doing sessions on Corticite and is thinking about how to implement things. And after Chrysalis, nearly all hands, every person of the engineering team will be focused on Corticite. So the nectar testing should be several months, I would say. But the big objective for us is still Q4, right? With Corticite on the IOTA mainnet. Soon trademark. We really need to get some memes with soon T-shirts. Hello, IOTA Foundation. Are you in talks or maybe thinking to get in talk with the Swiss National Bank (SNB) and Bank of International Settlements (BIS) to help them out with their DLT project called Project Helvetia? Regards from Zurich. We don't really speak with central banks right now, and that has multiple reasons. The primary reason is we're not ready yet. We are getting ready with Chrysalis, so that opens up new possibilities. And we're also getting ready with smart contracts. But I think the bigger reason is simply our expertise is not in the banking sector. Our expertise is not with central banks. And our expertise is not with lobbying. Because I think to convince a central bank to use your technology, you have to comply to their requirements. And their requirements are always going to be a permissioned network that they want to set up where they control the nodes, where they can also reverse transactions and so on. So I think at least for the next few years, these banks will not utilize any public permissionless network like IOTA, like Ethereum, or anything else. I can promise you that. However, we are definitely moving towards getting closer with the financial sector. And I think the best case scenario for us as IOTA is that the IOTA Foundation is focused on the core protocol and is focused on empowering the ecosystem. And instead, we have some partners like a big consultancy, like a system integrator that is already experienced with the banks, or especially with the central banks, to push IOTA. And I think that is really where we're going towards. And we as the IOTA Foundation, we should be focused on partnering with those multipliers so that those multipliers go out into the ecosystem and sell their service to the central banks, like consultancy, integration work, with the intention of utilizing IOTA. So I think that's how we are progressing here, I would say. Concerning the hackathon, I know where this is going. Some people argue that the prices, even though increased, are still too low given the information you'd receive in return. Finding bugs that could ruin IOTA should be worth a lot of money. I know you say it's not the bug bounty but it kind of is. What are your thoughts? Fair question. As I already mentioned before, this was our mistake because we had our security engineers and experts drafting the blog post, and because they made it look too professional, I would say, with the structure that looks very much like a bug bounty program. Running a bug bounty program is a lot of effort because you need to invest time into running it and analyzing, reviewing, and also providing the right incentives, right? If we had launched this with the intention of doing a bug bounty, we would have absolutely done the minimum of 25 to 50K for the most severe case. But this wasn't a bug bounty. The main intention here was that, hey, we have 1 more month until Chrysalis hits the mainnet. Why don't we actually provide some incentives for those users in the community that have engaged with us, that are trying to attack the network, that are helping us to optimize Hornet and other implementations, to give them some incentives and to give them some rewards, right? Like that was really the whole intention. But this was totally our mistake, I would say. And we're definitely going to do a bug bounty program. But you guys have to keep in mind is like we have 40, 50 engineers, I think more now, right? 60, 70 actually in the foundation that are really talented. And we've done cross-review internally. We have done several external audits. So it's not like this bug bounty program is going to make or break Chrysalis. And it doesn't mean that we're not confident in IOTA. we had the intention of doing a fun event with the community, and we didn't have the intention of inviting serious security researchers to this program. So I think somewhere these intentions got lost in writing the blog post, and I made the joke that the blog removed a few zeros. But yeah, like don't take this too seriously, right? It's just a fun event for the community, and we don't need the bug bounty program right now. But maybe we need it after the launch of Chrysalis. But right now we're good, I would say. I've been wondering for a while who makes the graphics and designs for the foundation. It's always and without exception brilliant. You clearly have some very talented artists on board. Would like to see them get some recognition. Yeah, totally. Like we have an amazing UI, graphics, and also UX team that really understands this art form of doing design. So it's being led by Sabri, and Sabri, I think he's like one of the very first, I think the fourth or fifth person that actually joined the IOTA project. And he's a phenomenal person and very talented. And he's been with our journey since the very beginning, right? So he's been part of the crazy roller coaster. But we also have Alexa and Marcos in our team, who are also very talented and do amazing, phenomenal work. Like, for example, the butterfly, I think, was made by Alexa. And Marcos also helped with the Firefly wallet. And we are actually hiring a lot right now, just so you all know. So I can really recommend all of you who want to be part of our team, because I would say, right, I think we have like 20 or 30 job openings right now. So make sure to go to jobs.iota.org. But I think what makes IOTA so unique as a workplace is it's all about fulfilling and making it possible for people to realize their potential. Because we want to give people freedom. We don't want to dictate them, hey, you have to do this, and we put them into a box. But it's more about you define the objectives that we want to achieve as an organization, and we leave it up to the team members to achieve them in the best way possible, in the best way that they deem possible. And I think that's why, because we have such a strong vision and such an amazing project and big community, we were able to attract all of these amazing people. And most of our team members, I would say, actually came from the community as well. And I think that's really great. So yeah, like, really congrats to our graphics team. And we are actually hiring more there right now, because we have some other projects to work on as well. But make sure to give them some love also on Discord. And I think in general, if you guys like something that we are doing, make sure to leave a comment on Discord, because I think our team really appreciates that recognition. And it's not about me, it's not about others, it's really about the teamwork, right? And IOTA wouldn't be here without any of these people that are part of the IOTA Foundation. How will core decide affect confirmation time? What is expected confirmation time with Multiverse? So first of all, Multiverse is something that we're looking at from a research perspective. It will not be part of the first version of core decide, simply because we have FPC, fast probabilistic consensus, which has been peer reviewed. And we got some great feedback on that. It is a lot more complex than Multiverse, but I think with core decide, it's important that we launch with something that has been properly reviewed and has been researched. And ultimately, we are exploring more consensus algorithms for the future, right? And we built up Go Shimmer in a very modular way, where you can plug in different concepts. And when it comes to the confirmation time, the current target or the current plan is 5 seconds. So it takes you about 5 seconds to confirm transactions in FPC at the moment. And the ultimate goal is obviously to bring this down. One thing I'm going to be honest here, and I know we always talk about bridge building, but I find these sub-second confirmation times that some other projects claim kind of disingenuous, because they're not true. But then again, it's crypto, right? And we have made some non-correct claims in the past as well. But ultimately, if a project claims sub-second finality, I would highly question that. And especially if you think about this running in production at a high load, so it's nearly impossible. But yeah, an FBC 5 seconds will bring it down, but 5 seconds is amazing, and I think we can do half it in the future. But right now it's 5 seconds, and once we open up the floodgates for corticide with nectar, I think all of you will be able to be so amazed as you were when you utilize Firefly for the first time. So I think that will be amazing. What features are prioritized by the foundation post-corticide? Post-corticide, most important is sharding. So we're starting with data sharding. We're still writing a paper on data sharding, but we have a very concrete concept for that and how to implement it and how to enable it. And I think data sharding is like half of our current use cases that we run with corporates. So I think that will be very exciting. And then ultimately, it's about full sharding for transactions, for value transfers, because that is how we really become this ubiquitous digital infrastructure that is able to run globally for the machine economy and beyond. So I would say sharding is obviously our main priority. There will always be optimizations that we can do to the corticide concept itself, including new consensus approaches. So we'll definitely be focused on hardening the protocol itself and also really leading the standardization of the protocol. And then other than that, I would say we can do a lot with smart contracts, because smart contracts are one of the most exciting avenues to go. And I think I would say there's a lot of unrealized potential right now when it comes to smart contracts in the IOTA ecosystem, because IOTA is perfectly built for a smart contract network to run. And so we are thinking about how we can enable that as well. So smart contracts is really also an exciting avenue for us to pursue and prioritize. And what features are prioritized? World domination, right? When will New York City residents be able to purchase IOTA tokens? Any info about possible listing on Gemini, Coinbase, etc.? If not, what is the main obstacle preventing listing on these exchanges? I recommend all of you to go on Discord and to ping Dan and to really complain to Dan about why we don't have any option to purchase IOTA tokens in New York yet. But I was kind of like half kidding. Like I would actually do it for fun. But the honest answer is it's in the making. We're speaking with some of these parties, and IOTA is sort of, I wouldn't say certified, but is sort of approved by some of these regulatory bodies. Like you guys saw the rating that we got from the Crypto Ratings Council, which basically proves or shows that we are not a security, and that's really key for some of these exchanges. And I would say right now the focus for us is on getting Chrysalis out as soon as possible, and then we can also speak more closely with these parties to list IOTA. So it's work in progress. Just have some patience. I know it's kind of painful right now to acquire IOTAs in the US, but we have a big focus on enabling this, so don't worry. New roadmap coming soon. The old one looks abandoned. And let me actually look at it. The truth be told, we actually built a new roadmap, and because everybody really had to focus on Firefly and on Chrysalis, we kind of postponed that. So the new roadmap should be ready, I would say, in a couple of weeks. We need to improve the process. I think the biggest value that all of you can get out of this, and the biggest value that we actually want you to have, is to have a roadmap to see where we are heading. Even though the timelines are no longer fully accurate, some of them definitely are. We really need to update the roadmap basically to reflect not just these time intervals, because I think it's kind of disingenuous for us to make an estimate and then you guys hold us accountable by that estimate. And that also puts a lot of pressure on, unnecessary pressure on to the team. But we're definitely going to update the roadmap and improve it. But right now you can take a look at it, and it gives you a guidance of where we are heading and what our focus is. And we did call these objectives, and we really work with objectives in the foundation. And so through that, you know how we're going to achieve technological maturity and stuff like that. But ultimately, the best, if you want to get up-to-date information on anything that we do, just go on Discord, right? All of our developers, all of our team members, including myself, we are very approachable. And you can always ask us about any kind of software, any kind of product that we're about to release or when we are going to release it, and we'll give you an answer, right? So just reach out to us directly. And when it comes to the roadmap, we're going to update that soon, TM. From a technical, environmental, and financial perspective, IOTA is on an amazing journey, and I'm very glad to be involved a very small way. Congratulations, and hope this upgrade to Chrysalis silences people like Dan H. What a sad individual he is. First of all, welcome on board. We are always happy to have you all. IOTA is a big family, I would say. So it's very exciting to build this together with all of you. I think maybe one important thing here is IOTA did have a very bad reputation because of some of these mistakes that we made, and we owned up to these mistakes and made smart decisions, I would say, to first of all, make up for them, right? Remove those mistakes that we've made, and to also have a new kind of focus as a project. And our focus as a project is to build bridges. And some individuals still hold a very strong opinion, like maximalism Bitcoin 101, I would say. And some individuals can be convinced through progress that we're making, and it's very exciting. I think we're also seeing this newfound confidence, and there's a lot more to come because we have a lot in the pipeline. Some individuals cannot be convinced because they're kind of building up a persona around them on this hatred towards other projects. And I think it's easier to burn something down than to build something. And many people forget that. And I would just not pay attention to that stuff and always, I really try to lead with compassion and not try to go on fights or rants with others. I think we should just really be focused on building and delivering. So that's like a quick off take. So my question, to assist in adoption on the tokens by the crypto public or people with a very basic understanding, can you provide a really simple set examples of where the tokens will be used? And perhaps have a space on the website so people can get there to see what the IOTA future looks like. Thanks and all the best. That's a very good point, actually. Let me actually go to the IOTA website right now. I think everything can be improved constantly, right? But every time you do something, you run into resource constraints. What is the focus of IOTA? The big focus of IOTA is to be a technology, is to be a protocol that is being utilized in the real world. Now that's obviously not very tangible as a vision, but I think it just shows you the way that we see this progress, because I would compare IOTA to TCP/IP, right? TCP/IP enables the data transfer as this backbone for the internet, and the same way IOTA is going to enable this value transfer for the machine economy and beyond. And IOTA can really be this connective tissue for the human economy, right? We're doing digital identity, we have Firefly, we also have some exciting stuff with financial applications and so on, but also the machine economy, where we focus on machine-to-machine payments and enabling this autonomous future. I would say where the IOTA token fits in is in three distinct categories. The first one and the one that I would say makes it click in people's head the best, right? We always talk about token economics. Why should I buy a token? What is the value? Like the first one is really, you need the IOTA token with Corticite in order to secure the network. IOTA is being secured by the IOTA token. And that means that if you're a large company, you can acquire IOTA tokens in order to enable your use case. So it really becomes this sort of digital asset, right, that is powering our infrastructure, that is powering our protocol and the network. So a large company that wants to utilize IOTA for machine-to-machine payments, for data transfers, for whatever use case that they're building, is able to utilize the protocol if they hold IOTA tokens. And that's a very exciting value proposition. And it's a perfect analogy to actually how we do 4G today, how we basically distribute connectivity in the spectrum. So IOTA is a very similar analogy. So that's the first one, right? It's being utilized to secure and to power the IOTA network. The second one is feeless micropayments. IOTA is the only real protocol today that can enable real feeless micropayments, machine-to-machine payments. And I think that is really going to be one of the biggest value propositions for the future when this financial infrastructure around IOTA is more established. And then the third one is really the digital assets and the value that is being enabled on top. What I mean with that is tokenized assets and NFTs, and there's also going to be smart contracts. So all of that will be powered on top of IOTA. And one of the most overused terms is definitely Internet of Everything, but that's kind of how it's evolving into. And we always define IOTA as this protocol that is focused on value transfers, and value for us is data and is the token. And that is exactly what we are enabling with IOTA. And the IOTA token is the centerpiece of the IOTA network. So you need the IOTA token in order to transfer value, in order to transfer money. Right. So the big vision for us is really the machine economy, where machines transact with each other in IOTA tokens. And that is also where, we always get asked this question, like, are you trying to disrupt the banking industry? Are you fighting against the banks? And the answer is like, no, right? There's no machine economy today. There's no machines transacting with each other. And there's no possibility for a bank to actually enable that. And so we are opening up complete new opportunities because IOTA enables these machine-to-machine payments. And I think that's why it's so core to our mission to also partner with some of these other financial institutions, because they can really benefit from utilizing IOTA. Like, for example, EV charging. We don't want to go into the same problem as we have with the EV charging stations today, where we have different standards, and where you as a consumer need to ask, hey, can I even charge my electric vehicle there? So the focus with IOTA is there's going to be one token that is powering this machine economy. And as such, you no longer have these interoperability issues. You don't need to think about, oh, can I even pay this machine? But it's enabled through our open source, our standardized protocol, and is obviously enabled with the IOTA token. So I hope that makes it clear. We are definitely going to do more work on token economics, around staking, around everything that is sort of going to be enabled with IOTA, and is going to be built on IOTA. So there's a lot more to come, but I hope that clarifies the question around why the IOTA token. Okay, I think, should I read this as well? Is this a question or is this like an answer? Let me maybe read it because it got like 12 upvotes. By the way, this is an answer to the question before. I think this question is like asking in 1986 what could be done on the internet. IOTA, when finished, can become a solution for almost any use case that requires identity, data streams, autonomous payments, machine-to-machine communication, artificial intelligence. Much of ... much of which we cannot even foresee yet, since the market is still in a very early stage. Concrete examples have been proposed and are already happening. For example, the vaccination passports, validating tests, tamper-proof real estate maintenance, and so on. I think first we'll see an explosion in data use cases before decentralized value transfers actually become a thing. Because overcoming volatility and people's fear and sheer habit of using centralized fiat money will be a difficult obstacle that will take its time. And companies will be reluctant to become the first one using para-fiat value transfers as a means of either human-to-machine or machine-to-machine payments. Once the ball gets rolling, though, I predict we'll see a revolution that's long overdue. It's a very, very good answer. I'm going to give you an upvote. That's very articulately put. And I fully agree with you. And it's all about focusing on getting the protocol really hardened and getting it also really adopted. That's also why these data use cases are so exciting for us, like working with Zebra Technologies on supply chain tracking, working on digital identity, because that really puts the IOTA protocol out in the wild, and it makes big companies actually integrate the IOTA protocol and the IOTA network into their existing systems. And then later on, we can actually focus on these value transfer payments or these machine-to-machine use cases. And that's really what we are going to achieve. And all of you have to realize, I think this is this famous quote of Bill Gates, and I might have shown it before once already, that we underestimate or that we overestimate the impact that technologies will have over a 2-year span and underestimate the impact that they will have over a 10-year span, time frame. And as our friend here said, we don't really know how IOTA is going to look like in the future, and that is exactly what we want. Do you think people in 1991 knew how the internet would look like, or would think that we are able to order toilet paper from Amazon, right? Nobody knew that, and nobody can really fully predict that. You can only make assumptions. And right now we're making we are working on validating our assumptions of the machine economy, and we see this with how IOTA is being perceived by the industry, because all of them are really excited about it. And I think we're right now in an environment where there's a lot of change happening, right? Entire industries are being fundamentally, I hate this word, but are being fundamentally disrupted. And all of these big incumbents have to think about, how do we actually innovate? How do we actually future-proof ourselves? Because many of them are in a dire situation where their business model is no longer going to be relevant in 10, 15, 20 years. So they need to think about it right now and how they're actually going to transform these large ships the corporates, right, to be ready for this new world. And that's exactly why IOTA, and more broadly blockchain, and also IoT and AI are really a fitting theme for them, because for one, it enables them to be more efficient, but for another, it enables new use cases. And that's why we at IOTA have always been focused on value creation, because only if you prove to a corporate how much money they're going to save, right, you need to give them quantifiable metrics. You're going to save this much money, you're going to make this much money, you'll be this much more efficient, and this is how much it's going to cost you to integrate. If you can answer those questions, you're going to be adopted in the real world. And that's what we've been focused on. We're not focused on chasing how we can do crypto kitties, or how we can launch our own DEX. I think all of that will be built at the same time. I think if we're able to prove that IOTA is being utilized in the real world, which we are right now, all of the other adoption will follow. And that's always been our strategy, and we can do both at the same time right now. And I think that also fundamentally answers the question, how is the token going to be adopted? Because it's really the backbone of all of this. And I can really, maybe we can find some reading lists on the spectrum, because I would really recommend all of you to look up how the spectrum works and how spectrum management works, because that also shows you how IOTA is going to progress as a digital infrastructure. How has the current solution to dust protection changed the effectiveness for IOTA to support microtransactions? First of all, dust protection is something that we are really looking at for Courtiside. So for Courtiside, it will be different. I would not really say that it's going to have a big impact right now, because ultimately all you have to do is load up a machine with 1 MI, right? So with how much is it? Like $1.60? And then you can receive microtransactions. I think what's really more exciting, and this was actually the first module that we ever built, was flash channels. So it's like bidirectional payment channels between machines. And there you can do microtransactions without settling on the protocol, right? You just sign a transaction between the machines and you can do microtransactions. And that is how we're going to extend the protocol itself. But ultimately, I don't think it has any impact right now. And we've gotten no negative feedback on it yet. And it's something that protects the protects the entire network. So I think that's kind of important to have. IOTA has a fixed number of coins, but over time people do lose them, and some will be lost forever, meaning the circulating supply will go down. I'm sure the switch to Chrysalis, there will also be a number of coins that never get converted over. Are there any plans for a small level of inflation to offset this? You could potentially split the inflation amongst node holders to help incentivize running a node. Also, recently, Charles Hoskinson from Cardano said IOTA is not feeless, as someone is having to pay for the cost of the network somewhere. For IOTA, it is the node runners who are paying the costs of the network. Do you have a rebuttal for why this isn't an issue? The first question: are there any plans for a small level of inflation to offset this? No, I think one of the major value propositions of IOTA is that it isn't inflationary. If you go on CoinMarketCap right now and you look at all of these projects, I think all of them have inflation. And I would argue that that is actually a very exciting argument for IOTA, and why large investors like pension funds, like hedge funds, and so on, should actually take an allocation in IOTA, because it has this limited supply. And we do not want to change anything about these token economics to introduce an inflation. I really don't think that we should do that, because it really changes the value proposition of IOTA as well, I would say. And I'm not a big fan of it. I think we should rather think about what we can do in layer 2. Right? How can we provide further incentives for nodes that are, for example, securing smart contracts, for nodes that are securing certain data applications, to also receive staking rewards, to also receive transaction fees that are being collected by these applications as a further incentive. I think that's definitely something that we are going to explore. But other than that, you should think about it like this. The biggest incentive for you to set up a node today and to participate in the network is, first of all, you're a community member and you really believe in the project. Second of all, it's not that expensive, because IOTA is really lightweight as a protocol. So you don't accrue these insane fees as other protocols have. But the bigger reason is really you need to set up a node to enable your use case. And we at IOTA, we are focused on solving real problems. Right? So if you're a large company and you want to enable your sharing fleet to pay the infrastructure, you should probably set up your own nodes and participate in the network, validate transactions, and provide your participation in the network and secure transactions of others. That is really why you want to do that. I think with Mana, it gets even more exciting, because with Mana, you definitely also have more incentives that you can bake into the protocol. And this whole Charles Hoskinson thing, I'll be honest, I didn't really watch what he said. I'm still waiting for him to respond to my emails. So I think anybody that has a very strong opinion about something either has a certain agenda or has a certain misunderstanding, because we are one of the largest R&D organizations next to Cardano, and we have 140, nearly 150 people in the IOTA Foundation. We have a huge ecosystem. We work together with dozens of research institutes, universities. So I think a lot of research and a lot of effort has been put into the protocol to make it feeless. And I can only recommend Charles and others to look at what we are doing with Corticide and what we've implemented with Mana, with our rate control mechanism. We had a great talk with Luigi on Friday, where we went into this rate control mechanism and how we actually are able to achieve these fairness, the security properties, while still enabling a feeless micropayments, feeless transactions. So yes, there's absolutely somebody that ultimately has to pay, but we have made this calculated, we have taken this calculated approach of really fine-tuning the protocols so that those that have to pay is not the end user that wants to execute their transaction, because if you have transaction fees that are going to miners, you always have this network where there's going to be centralization, right? We started out with the decentralized network with Bitcoin, and now it's sort of like semi-decentralized, I would say, because we have these huge mining farms. I'm sure there's arguments against it, but is this the kind of environment that you want to build your business case on? Is this the kind of environment that you want to run your billion-dollar business model on? I don't think so. So yeah, we really spent a lot of time on conceptualizing, on researching, and also writing a lot of papers, and also implementing IOTA so that it is feeless, and that those that have to pay are not the users, but is really the network that is securing each other. And I think IOTA as a protocol takes a lot from nature as well, because nature also has these self-healing processes where it's not about a central entity, like for example, a miner or a validator, like a staking farm, securing the network, but it's really every node in the network securing the network. So yeah, check out our research. Hey Dom, when will smart contracts be ready in mainnet? Any talks with potential dApp creators? First of all, yeah, we're talking a lot right now with potential dApp creators. It's a big focus of ours because we right now have the alpha release. We have to improve it so that it can launch on GoShimmer, and we are working on are starting to work on integration with Ethereum virtual machine, so that you can run that on top of IOTA. Right now, the focus is that this is going to launch on the GoShimmer network, so you can all already develop and plan with it. There is no concrete time yet on when it will be on the mainnet, and we have the specifications for colored coins for digital assets ready. So once they're fully reviewed and once they're fully agreed upon by the entire network, we can also think about how soon we can get this onto the mainnet. But I don't know. Like I don't want to give any false promises right now. But the focus is definitely that we'll get it onto the mainnet as soon as possible. But the exciting part is that all of you can already start building beforehand, right? You don't need the IOTA mainnet to start building because it's available on the GoShimmer network. Will there be sharding on a testnet soon, TM? That's a big one. With sharding right now, we're still on the theoretical research part. We're writing this paper on data sharding, and I don't think you should get your hopes up to have it ready anytime soon, because it has to be implemented. It means that people from the team need to focus on implementing it, and that will take months. And our primary focus at the moment is launching Chrysalis. We're well on track with that, and it obviously is to launch Cordyceps. So after Cordyceps, we can talk about sharding, and like we're doing like 10 things at once, and so we can't add sharding on top. That would be kind of crazy. I saw this article from Near Protocol about crypto energy consumption and carbon footprint. They also claim to have been certified by South Pole, carbon offsetting company headquartered in Zurich, Switzerland, as climate neutral. Does the IOTA have anything similar planned, as in being certified as climate neutral, and write an article about climate impact of the crypto space? Let me look at this post. First of all, great effort by them. I really applaud everybody in this space that is taking a really strong stance when it comes to climate change and when it comes to actually building technologies to fight climate change. And so great job there, I would say, the Near team. I think there's pros and cons to offsetting your carbon emissions. I've heard of South Pole. We also know the Atmosphere team here in Berlin quite well. I think we could do certification. I really don't see a problem with that, actually. Instead, right, what we really focus on as a team right now is which kind of applications can we build. Like, for example, the digital MRV project, which is about collecting data and sharing it, and also building these markets for CO2 emissions. I think our focus as a project should rather be, instead of doing some kind of virtuous signaling, should be focused on creating impact, on having impact with our technologies, and making sure that that is actually being utilized to solve problems when it comes to climate change. So that is really our primary focus. When it comes to certification, we can do it. I'm not opposed to it. We are going to do more research and also education about crypto energy consumption. Like, for me, the biggest bullshit, and sorry that I'm using this, but it really makes me angry, is that Bitcoin is some kind of battery that allows you to offset carbon emissions, and that Bitcoin is being utilized to reduce carbon emissions because so much money is being invested into green tech. It's just the most idiotic thing that anybody has ever said in the Bitcoin space. So we are really focused on value creation. We are really focused on making sure that our tech and that the entire space is actually moving towards helping to fight climate change, instead of being this detrimental factor, having this detrimental effect on the climate. So yeah, great job, Nir. I think that's a great effort to work on climate, being climate neutral, and great that you guys got certified. And yeah, let's move forward as a space together to solve these big issues. As the post-corticide auto peering is already developed for quite a while now, why isn't it included in Chrysalis? That would have made life so much more easier. The main reason is that post-corticide auto peering actually utilizes mana, and mana is not yet implemented in Chrysalis, right? It's not implemented on the IOTA mainnet, so it's just been implemented in Go Shimmer. So we need to spend some more time on getting there. I think when it comes to the auto peering, the team is definitely looking at different approaches. But yeah, I get you. Auto peering is really nice, is really beautiful. But we're gonna work on that. So don't worry about it. Hey Dom, a couple of questions. By the way, let's do like 5 or 10 more minutes. Do you guys have any concerns about the other competitors who have similar vision for IoT, specifically the China-based projects like Polkadot and IOTAs? It's kind of interesting that you say that Polkadot is China-based. I know they've done a lot of marketing in China. They've done really well in that regard. But yeah, interesting point. Any concerns China will want their technologies to be standards and ban all others? I am really not an expert on China. I really cannot give any opinion on that. We are definitely going to spend a lot of time in Asia in Q3 and Q4, because there's a lot of ecosystem and community building that we have to do, us IOTA and us smart contracts on top of IOTA. And there's a lot of unrealized potential, I would say, when it comes to China, Asia in general, and IOTA. So we'll do more there. When it comes to other competitors that have a similar vision, I don't think that I'm really worried, because as I already said in the beginning, we don't focus on competitors. We don't have this mindset. We focus on creating value. And if others like Polkadot, like IOTAs, I think they're called IOTAs, right? Or IOTX, I don't know. If they work with big companies, great. Like let's create credibility for this space. Let's create value instead of focusing on nonsense. So I think that's great. So it's all about making this the pie bigger and getting adoption for us as an ecosystem. And we're confident in IOTA. We're confident in the tech that we're building. And we're also confident in the roadmap that we have, that we're really solving real problems. And you see this with the big companies that we're working with. So no, I'm not worried. And how do you plan on marketing more to the United States? Super Bowl ads? I'm just joking. We don't do advertisement, right? When it comes to the US, we just need to do more work. First of all, on getting exchanges. Getting on Coinbase, getting on Gemini, getting on Grayscale, and so on. With that, we will already have done half the job, I would say. and that is really our core focus. Other than that, we're focused on use cases. How can we integrate IOTA into smart cities? How can we enable people to build the smart contracts on top of IOTA? So I think we'll do more there. Everyone I know here only knows Bitcoin. That's kind of weird. No one really knows about IOTA, or in my experience, no one believes me when I tell them the capability and vision. So how would you say you're planning to engage in that market more? That's kind of interesting. Yeah, like we have to do more promotion. I think with Chris Salis out of the gates, we can absolutely push. We can absolutely push the adoption more, and also the education and awareness, and also do more interviews, get on Bloomberg, get on CNBC, Squawk Box, or something like that. So we'll make that happen. Last one, do you have an opinion on the wallet app called Strike by Zap? It claims to be able to send Bitcoin to anyone, any amount for free in seconds. Wasn't that the bottleneck in Bitcoin that IOTA was trying to solve when sending money? Strike by Zap. I have never heard of that, actually. Oh, I think I remember this. I think this is just a centralized payments app. I think this is just like if you had your tokens on Coinbase and they just do their internal accounting. I don't think that this is built on the Lightning Network. It's actually running productively because the Lightning Network doesn't exist, right? It's not production ready yet. So I really don't think that this is real right now. So it's not our competition, I would say. Do you use the extra time to deliver the chrysalis along with digital assets, 0% or 100%? I knew somebody would ask that. We had some debates about that internally. I think when it comes to the implementation of everything that we do, we need to have a feature freeze. That means that no new features get added, because if you add new features, you also add more risk factors, right, where something could go wrong. And so yeah, like we have a feature freeze. Digital assets right now is still in the RSC stage. That means it's a request for comment where you guys can comment on whether you like the specification or not. It is implemented in Go Shimmer already, so we'll probably do some work around that. So maybe we can do like a token exchange where you guys can build up, create your own tokens and easily exchange them. But once it's been tested, once it's been reviewed, once it's been tested and implemented, we can then start thinking about when to release it on the IOTA mainnet. So no concrete timelines yet. I'll probably do 2 more questions. These questions. Hello, I think a mana marketplace is not good for decentralization of mana. Is it not better to have a fixed mana price to let me say 6%, and then a mechanism to sell mana coincidentally from a Firefly user? When there is a marketplace, big player dump the price extremely. So it's better to distribute the piece of the cake equal to and fair to everyone than only to the big one and nothing to the smaller one. I mean, if there's a smaller, like I think you get your question. First of all, the mana marketplace is a possibility. It's not a given. Ultimately, the mana marketplace is built with this idea that we provide this freedom to the market to exchange mana. And if you're a large corporate, the only reason why you would need to buy mana is if you don't want to hold IOTA tokens. Right, so we give them the freedom to enable their use case without having to purchase IOTA tokens. Now, when it comes to mana and the mana marketplace in general, I think all of these things we will explore together over the next few months once mana is integrated and fully implemented in Go Shimmer with all of the modules connected, and we are ready with Nectar. And then we can also figure out what works and what doesn't work. Ultimately, we are exploring this together with you guys. I think there's some exciting opportunities for us to build this and figure out if it works or if it doesn't work, right? We are doing more research talks soon, so where you can ask questions directly to our research team. So maybe ask the question to them as well, so they can also give you their expert opinion on this. Last question. Hey Dom, so it seems that VeChain is a strong competitor in the IoT space of supply chain management, healthcare, manufacturing, food safety, and other areas. I'm wondering how you guys plan to compete with them and how you would say that IOTA compares to them. Will you guys be putting emphasis on marketing how IOTA is a viable competitor and that feeless transactions are perhaps a better method for the IT space? So I don't know too much about VeChain, and I don't hold too much of an opinion about them. Their second token never really made much sense to me, where you have the second token for staking, and then with that you kind of reduce transaction fees or something. And I don't want to talk badly about them, right? So I think VeChain, what they do really well is that they build a product around their platform, around their DLT, and try to get adoption for that. If it's valuable as it is right now, I don't know. I'm not here to provide any opinion on that. As I previously mentioned, I don't think we're really competing with them. We are really succeeding in supply chain management right now ourselves because IOTA is free to utilize. And we have products like streams that are really getting mature, that are really getting easy to utilize. And most importantly, we have partners like Zebra Technologies, like Everything, and so on, that are utilizing IOTA in the real world and are convincing others to utilize IOTA. So I think the adoption of IOTA will only increase now that we have Chrysalis out, now that we have a very clear path to adoption also with our products. So I'm not worried about those other players. And ultimately, why you want to build on IOTA is because we are building the machine economy. It's not just about a singular use case. The machine economy is everything. It's smart cities, it's mobility, it's supply chain management, it's industry 4.0, it's real estate. We're combining all of that on our platform so that machines can start to interact with each other. And our focus is on getting this IOTA as a protocol adopted and utilized in the real world. I saw a question, Dom. There are some interesting questions down under. All right, I'll do two more. Hi, Dom. Can you recommend running an IOTA node post Chrysalis mainnet launch on a PC or laptop? And if so, the Bee or Hornet implementation? Could you summarize the main differences in purpose and implementation? And do you need to run a node to use the Firefly wallet? Thanks a lot. First of all, you don't need to run a node to use Firefly. It's very easy to utilize, and it connects automatically to a quorum of nodes to provide you with the safety and security. Now, would I recommend you to run your own node? If you want to experience it, if you want to enable your use case and you don't want to rely on a third party, absolutely. I run my own nodes for fun, but I wouldn't run it on a PC or a laptop that is not connected 24/7 because the node is connected to the network. It needs to be synchronized with the peer-to-peer network. So in that regard, you need to have a server or your PC that is on 24/7. I would utilize Hornet because Hornet is much more established than Bee. It's been around more than a year longer, I would say. The main difference is Bee is implemented in Rust, and we have a really amazing Rust team now in the IOTA Foundation that is very experienced when it comes to implementing the node, but also is very experienced with Rust. And Hornet is our Go implementation. So I think that is really the major difference of both of them. And the main reason why we implemented in Rust and Go is really also for security reasons, right? If there's one critical flaw potentially in the future, especially with Corticide, the one node software is not able to take down the node network because hopefully the bug that is present in one node implementation is not present in the other node implementation. So that is why we're doing both. And I think Bee and the Hornet team are really, really exceptional teams and exceptional implementation. So try out Hornet, and if you want to experience Bee, give it a shot. It's totally worth it. Any info on when digital assets? I think I answered that one. Hi, Dom. Thanks for doing AMAs. What is expected TPS after Chrysalis mainnet launch, and where do you see TPS performance 6 months, year, 5 years from now? Again, what I recommend all of you to do is go on the IOTA Discord and ping Muxer and ask Muxer how many TPS are we going to get after Chrysalis. I think he will absolutely enjoy that. What is expected TPS after Chrysalis? It's around the same as we have right now. Obviously, we haven't done a real stress test right now, and these TPS numbers are kind of disingenuous sometimes. But we have a clear path towards production readiness, and hopefully with Chrysalis, we are able to achieve more TPS. We are doing some stress tests over the next few weeks, but we have to see how it evolves. I don't want to put any pressure on our engineering team. I don't want to put any false expectations into your heads. So let's wait and see, and let's see how it evolves. And when it comes to a year, I definitely think that we need to be able to do several thousand TPS. I don't think we need all of them in more than a year. If you think about it, the entirety of Ethereum runs at 20 TPS. Now, obviously, they have an absurd amount of transaction fees right now because of the low TPS. But I don't think you need anything more than 1,000 to 2,000 TPS for these use cases. Obviously, the goal is to have as much as possible so that you can scale more with the adoption side, on the adoption side. In 5 years, I hope that we really have sharding, right? That is really our objective, and I think 5 years is definitely doable for sharding. We needed less for Coordicide. So in 5 years we'll have sharding, and then you're no longer going to be limited when it comes to the number of TPS. Like, that's ultimately our goal. But as I said, I don't think we need more than a few thousand TPS for the next 5 years. So I think that was a good talk, good AMA. I said I can't go through all of them because I do have some other stuff that I want to get done. But yeah, like we have the IOTA talk on Friday. We're gonna have an exciting show, probably focused on Firefly, so that we can talk about the project a little bit more. We can send around transactions maybe with all of you. I think it's a lot of fun. Make sure to download the Firefly wallet, by the way. If you haven't downloaded Firefly yet, really go to our Chrysalis page and make sure to go here, right? Make sure to download Firefly and try it out. The team has done an absolutely tremendous job with it. And obviously everybody that is involved in Chrysalis, and from the node implementations to the libraries, they've done a phenomenal job. So make sure to download Firefly, try it out, give us your feedback. It's beta, right? There's still that will be published and will be improved, but let's try it. I think we are on a very, very exciting trajectory, and you can see it in the market. I don't like to talk about price on this show. I think we should stay focused on what we do best, and what we do best is on building, and we should focus on building, because that is how we are going to really create this future with IOTA as the backbone of the machine economy. So let's stay focused, and let's really make sure that we deliver, and we are on a very exciting path to deliver. So without further ado, I hope that all of you have a great rest of your Wednesday, whatever you're doing, whatever time you're in. So have a good day, and see you guys soon. Bye-bye.